My name is Darlington Nwauju, spokesperson of APC in Rivers State, validated by the court on August the 12th, 2024. And we've invited you this morning to speak on some teething issues, especially to address issues that pertain to the conduct or the processes leading up to the conduct of the August 30th proposed local government elections in Rivers State. And we want to give you an update, give you a heads up, bring you up to date with what we have done as a political party, especially under the firm leadership of Chief Emeka Bekee. Now, we have listened to all sorts of innuendos sponsored against the Emeka Bekee-led leadership of the All Progressive Congress in Rivers State, part of which were formulated before the court in order to cast a slur on the image and integrity of members of the executives under Chief Emeka Bekee. And thank goodness and thank the courts for seeing through what it was, that they are mere piece of rubbish that amounted to nothing because they lacked substance. Now, some of these things were prebendally influenced. They were sponsored in order to achieve a political end. And I think that part of this political end is the joke that we now see, wherein persons are now playing a political prank on Rivers people and Nigerians by claiming that they are members of the All Progressive Congress and they are flying the flag of the All Progressive Congress, or they have been so nominated by the All Progressive Congress Party in Rivers State. I want to draw attention to the fact that Article 13 sub 9 of the 2022 Constitution of the All Progressive Congress, amended on the 26th day of March 2022, clearly empowers the State Working Committee of our great party to organize, coordinate, and nominate candidates for the local government level, activities at the local government level. Flowing from that, we had written to the RISEC on the 5th day of August via our lawyers, and we are grateful to God that the RISEC, through his director of or commissioner in charge of political party monitoring and security, acknowledged the fact that our lawyers wrote, drawing attention of RISEC in Rivers State to the fact that there is a subsisting judgment of court which validates the leadership of Chief Emeka Bekee, and that any activity that is done in the name of the All Progressive Congress in Rivers State outside his authorization and endorsement will amount to a nullity and also an infraction and a complete disregard of the judgment of court. And we record the fact that on the 29th day of September 2024, my Lord the Chief Justice of the Federation, Justice Kekere-Ekun, had warned that individuals and indeed organizations all over Nigeria must take recourse, must respect, must regard, must obey the directives and rulings of court. And so this is not about any group of individuals. It is not about Chief Emeka Bekee. It is not about any member of his executive. This is about the rule of law. And so our lawyers have written to RISEC, and they have acknowledged the fact that our lawyers wrote to them, drawing attention to the dangers of dealing with persons unknown to law in the name of the All Progressive Congress. But unfortunately, which is part of the reason why we are here this morning. Unfortunately, the RISEC in Rivers State under Dr. Ode has chosen to flagrantly disregard, disobey, and disrespect this judgment of God that was drawn to his attention. Because by their response, the claim that they are only dealing with the lists that were submitted to them, it means simply that anybody can sleep one morning, wake up, draw up a list, and submit to RISEC in the name of any political party, and that list will be so accepted. And we all know, as reasonable men, we all know, as persons who have been privileged to go through the four walls of institutions, that it does not work that way. That nobody can claim to be APC. Nobody can also claim to be YPP or any other political party if it does not have the imprimatur, the authority, and the weight of law to do so. And so this calls to question the transparency, accountability, and even the very integrity of the group of persons who sit as commissioners or as umpires for these elections in Rivers State. Because as soon as a letter accompanied by a copy of judgment of court, which has not been vacated by any higher court in Nigeria, you should have immediately stepped down everything pertaining to that particular political party and then dealt with the legally recognized individuals. Unfortunately, they never responded to our lawyer in a way and manner that correspondences administratively should be, but they chose the media to talk to us through the media, and we are talking back to them first through the media, and to warn that any list or group of lists bearing the name of the All Progressive Congress Rivers State Chapter, not authored, I repeat again, not authored by Chief Emeka Beke and Honorable Sam Etetegwon, who is secretary of our party, is not only a nullity, but will attract the enforcement of Form 48, which is a criminal proceeding for contempt or disregard of court orders. It's a warning, and they must take note of this very fact. If we are in a civilized society where rules and laws must prevail at all times, people must act in total deference to the law. People must defer to the law. People must learn to defer to the law of the land. Again, I want to say that this is a copy of the letter. This is the endorsement and return copy of the letter written by our lawyers, accompanied by the judgment of court. So whatever we claim, we have proof that they are in possession of the judgment of court and have no business dealing with unknown quantities in the name of the APC in Rivers State. And so you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. If there is a legally recognized body of APC in Rivers State, you then have no viable or logical excuse to be dealing with persons unknown to law. Even my son in secondary school understands this fact. And I wonder why a professor would, having gone through this letter and with the weight of the content of this letter, still goes ahead to tell the world that they are only dealing with names submitted to them by political parties. How? Does it mean that anybody can wake up in the name of a political party to submit names to RISEC and they will so publish or work or act on those names? These are questions begging answers. As of today, we have sent to the RISEC names of our candidates who merged through our primaries. And we want to believe that flowing from Article 13, sub 9 of our party constitution, as I earlier on quoted, the RISEC will respond to the letters, wordings, and even the spirit of our own very constitution, because no electoral umpire has powers under the law to jump into the arena of politics or to interfere or nose around the internal affairs of any political party in Nigeria. Theirs is to take note of the activities taking place or that has taken place or that have been scheduled to take place in political parties, and not to determine or decide who their candidates should be. And having said that, we want to finally conclude by calling on the National Working Committee of our great party, under the able and pragmatic leadership of Professor Irwada Netawe, who has a beautiful track record of stubbornness to the truth. A man with an antecedent of fairness and openness. Want to believe that he will be able to put this party together, rather than divide this party along any fault lines at all, as we saw or as we witnessed under the past leadership of Alhaji Ganduje, when decisions were taken purely on prebenda reasons and emotional reasons, without recourse to law, thereby dragging our political party, the image of our party, to disrepute and making it a mockery of what democracy should be. Our party is the ruling political party in Nigeria and must show the way for other political parties to learn the business of democracy. Because democracy is all about the people at every point in time. And so you cannot edit or exercise, if you like, the people out of the process of democracy. And so we call on the NWC to stop doing the parts that Alhaji Ganduje unfortunately chose to toe under his leadership or during the course of his leadership. Because in the past 21 months, we have suffered all sorts in the name of belonging to the All Progressive Congress. And all manner of narratives have been put out there against the Emeka Beke-led leadership, but we have remained firm and forthright, believing in the goals, the founding goals and objectives of this political party, not wavering, not shivering, and not also compromising on the fact that based on our own constitution, it is our practice manual, it is our guide. And at every point in time, it should help us, it should aid us, it should illuminate our decisions. And so if we have respect for our own party constitution, then we must respect and regard the fact that as of today, the All Progressive Congress Rivers State chapter is under the firm leadership of Chief Emeka Beke until his tenure runs through and his executives remain intact. Not one person has left that leadership of Chief Emeka Beke. And that is to tell you that we all do believe in our great party. And that we, yes. Sorry to cut in, sir. Please, can you tabulate your point? And what we must understand and what we should take home and tell the public today is that number one, the All Progressive Congress in Rivers State has written to the RISEC as at August the 5th, informing them or the fact that there is a subsisting judgment of court which has not been vacated, and that judgment validates the leadership of Chief Emeka Beke, and that they should be warned. It's like a caveat emptor. Do not deal with any other person outside the leadership of Chief Emeka Beke. But, secondly, the research chose to recognize persons unknown to us as persons who should submit or nominate candidates in the name of the APC. And I think that this is completely wrong. In fact, the research should be apologizing to Rivers people and Nigerians for causing such a debilitating administrative disaster that you have been written to on official grounds, and that evidences have been attached of a court judgment, and you still set it aside to deal with persons unknown to law, shows that there is a huge administrative lacuna on the part of research. And again, another point that we want to emphasize is the fact that our National Working Committee, under the pragmatic leadership of Professor Yewada Nentawe, must, as of fact, fairness and reason, look at the fact that there is a leadership of the APC in Rivers State led by Chief Emeka Beke, and that they must refuse to be in contempt of court order. There is a court order in favor of Chief Emeka Beke and his executives, and any attempt to continue to associate or relate or interface with persons unknown to law amounts to desecration, disregard, and disrespect for the judgment of court. And I said earlier on that on the 29th day of September 2024, my Lord, the Chief Justice of the Federation, had warned individuals and organizations not to deride, not to disrespect the rulings and the decisions of courts in Nigeria. And so we stand on that plank to remind our own very dear party that it must not go that route of being portrayed. It must not be allowed, especially under the new leadership, for anybody to portray a party as a lawless party that has no respect for the rule of law. Our party, under the relevant articles I have quoted before, that under Article 13.9, that our party has empowered, the constitution of our party has empowered the state working committee, and there is no other state working committee as far as the APC is concerned, and according to law, outside that, led by Chief Emeka Beke. And that we are saying that our party has 3 methods for choosing or nominating candidates: the direct method, the indirect, and the consensus. And our party has nominated candidates for the 23 local government areas. We have chairmanship candidates across the 23 local government areas, validly nominated as stipulated by the Constitution of the All Progressive Congress in Nigeria. And so anybody dealing with any other list outside that has been authorized and endorsed by Chief Emeka Beke and Honorable Sansa Metetegwo is only wasting his or her time. And this is the law. I am saying that as part of our preparations and readiness to participate in the August 30th, 2025 elections, we have nominated candidates across the 23 LGAs in Rivers State. And by the force of law, by our very party constitution, these candidates, these persons, these individuals remain the authentic candidates of the All Progressive Congress for the August 30th, 2025 elections in Rivers State. I said our lawyers are in constant interaction and interface with the RISEC.